So it's been quite a while since I made one of these, but in recent months they have overhauled the Weirwood Tree system a few times now. First of all, they added the 9th stages to it, and now they've overhauled it again and just made it a ever-increasing stage number that will keep going up in intervals of 1 until you hit the cap, and eventually it can complete the Weirwood Tree as normal. And this stage, 246 specifically, I have noticed has given quite a lot of players a lot of trouble, and it's been a bit of a wall that's halted progress. So I thought a guide going over exactly how you can counter all the mechanics and basically guarantee to get past this stage could be quite well placed, since there is very much a lack of proper guide content with these new Weirwood Tree stages, mostly because you can't replay them, I guess. So as soon as I go past this stage, I'm never going to be able to show it on this account again, so I have to get this right or the video will not work. So all the Wights here have no effects, we don't have to worry about them at all. Sometimes with these Night King stages, they can have a different mechanics, and you'll want to prioritize killing certain ones before the other. The only real target prioritization we'll have here is I'm going to ideally kill these bowmen in the back first. Sheila's active will one-shot both of these at gold 2-star at least. I don't know if lower rarities or awakenings will, but going in, I know that. And then Varys will be the bulk of my damage here, particularly because from this spot, he'll have the angle with his cone ability to be able to hit all 6. The mechanics we're really going to have to worry about and prepare for are the Night Kings. So his third ability, Frosty Origins, we don't have to worry about much. It's just pulsating damage. So we have Sansa to deal with that. It's just some healing. But these first two are the ones that are really going to cause issues for players. Fearless, the second ability, every 10 seconds grants a special shield that restores 100% max health when taking damage from skills for 5 seconds. So basically 50% of the time, the Night King and all allies will have a pink shield effect up that if you hit into with a damaging active ability will restore their health to 100%. If you play this stage on auto, you will very likely find it very hard to progress unless you just have commanders that are way too good for this stage because of this. Because of course your commanders aren't going to know to hold off on using their actives into these shields. So you will have to do this manually if you want to guarantee getting past it properly. And we're going to want to be looking out for those pink shield effects and waiting for them to drop off before using our damaging active abilities. And then his active skill, Unyielding, has some damage and healing attached to it. Not too much to worry about there. The issue with this, which I think is actually the hardest part of the fight, not the shields, is this increases attack by 2,000 to all allied units for 90 seconds part. The reason this is so hard, and this is what actually gave me a bit of trouble when I was testing this a little bit, is this seems to stack. So it goes to 2,000, 4, 6, 8, 10,000. And what you'll notice is, unless you counter this properly, in the early stages of the fight, even with all the Wights alive, you'll be dealing with the damage very easily. But as the fight goes on, the Night King will just start dealing way too much damage for you to handle, to the point of him like 2 or 1-shotting your commanders. And as soon as 1 or 2 commanders goes down, you've basically lost because it's a very high DPS check fight. So the way to counter this is we're going to need buff removal. There are 2 means of doing this. All these commanders are free to play. We have Vice, you see him there, when his active ability, Father's Judgment, removes all buffs from enemies in a round area and deals significant amount of damage to them. And the other one, which is what I'm using here, is Winton. You can swap Vice in for Winton, and if you play it right, it shouldn't really change much if you don't have Winton from the recruitment pass. For that note too, if you don't have Egbert from the recruitment pass, you can probably swap Jean in for him. It should work about the same. You just definitely need this buff removal. The reason I'm using Winton is he has the same buff removal on his active there, but if you look at All Conquering, he has a 30% chance to remove the enemy's buffs and stun them for 1 second. just passively off his normal attacks. So he effectively has 2 buff removals on him rather than the 1 that Vice has. And these buff removals are going to be key to us. So every time the Night King doesn't have his shield up, we're going to be looking to hit him with Winton's active and make sure that that attack buff doesn't stack too high and he can't just blitzkrieg our entire lineup. And when you counter these 2 mechanics properly, the shield and the attack buff, the stage isn't actually that hard when you actually go through it properly. So when we load in here, we're going to want to be using this first set of actives as soon as possible to get them off before the Night King's first set of shields can go up. So once again, we're going to use Varus's active to hit all 6 commanders like this. This is the angle you're going to want to be looking for. You're going to want to one-shot one of the bowmen with Sheila. And see the pink shields there? Those are what we have to wait for to come off. And you see those little swords with the upwards green arrows? Those are the attack buffs that we're going to want to be removing with Winton's active. You can potentially face issues throughout this fight because you have to do it manually with losing track of the bubble timing. So if that happens, just totally wait until the next set of bubbles go off. Do not risk it and just cast and hope, because you will, I promise you, end up messing up and casting into the bubbles and end up losing a lot of DPS time. So that as soon as the shields go off, we have our rage already built up, so we can now just unload all our actives at once. And there we go, 2 whites go down. Just have this 1 white and the Night King left now. So shield there, he's got his attack buff, wait for the shield to go down, then we Winton active him, so he does less damage. The shield just went down, so we Sheila active him, and then you just keep using your healing, making sure nothing dies, wait for the shield to go off. As soon as it goes off, we're gonna unload our actives again. So right there. I'm worried about messing up the timing of Sheila's active, so I'm just gonna hold off on it. Again, I was staring at my rage recovery, so I'm just gonna keep holding off on it. There seems to be, there we go. Right. So shield goes off there. We're gonna unload all our actives at once. Make sure we get our damage reduction on our front row. Now everything's full health. We have 20 seconds left. We countered all his mechanics and he ended up going down easily enough, as you can see. This stage will be very, very difficult if you don't counter his mechanics properly. As you can see, if you go through it and execute as I've shown and counter his mechanics just right, you will be able to get through the stage easily enough with all but free-to-play commanders.